The idea for freedom started in two young pastors' hearts. Just in talking to each other, we just said, hey, let's start a church. And we just said, we just want to start a church, and let's just love God and love people. And let's see what the Lord will do.
And I think back now how young we were, but it just didn't even occur to us. Like Frank said, we just went forward and did what we had to do, and God just provided people to encourage us and support us. We really were clueless, but God has been with us every step of the way. We actually started in our living room, and we had how many people? 30?
I think there was 30 people that first day.
30 people, Sunday morning, and yes, I will never forget that day, right in our living room. There was obviously no show, no glam. It was just two young men that wanted to serve God, and it was nice.
We really didn't have anybody to play music, and you got to have music in a church. And so we paid this elderly lady $50 to play the organ. And after church, Pastor Adam said, our music sounds like the Ghost of Mr. Chicken movie. But we went with the Ghost of Mr. Chicken music for a little bit until we could find some other people. But God has sure blessed us in the area of music.
Come a long way. We went from a pretty stable church to this young church, and the paycheck wasn't there for Frank. And so there were many weeks, and really the first beginning of freedom, when we collected money, it was to keep the lights and the doors open. And then if there was enough to pay the pastors got paid. So it wasn't always easy, and we did have a young family, so it was hard not to worry about that sometimes, but God truly has just been so faithful in that area in our lives, and He's never let us down. And now He's just truly overblessed us.
I think we were so focused on not worrying about numbers, and we were committed that we felt that God was sovereign. He would send the people that He wanted to come to us. Of course, we would evangelize, we would invite, we would teach our people, but we never really worried about that. That was part of the name freedom. We were free of that pressure. We would leave that up for God. We weren't in any competition, and we wanted to focus on the people that were there, and then we knew the numbers would come. I think people don't realize spiritual warfare that you go through, because when you're constantly trying to lift Jesus up, the enemy's trying to distract you, to come after you in so many bizarre, different ways. But one thing I will tell you, I'll never forget how much joy we had, because we knew we were free. We had that freedom mentality, and we were doing God's will, and it was a joyous time in my life, as hard as it was.
Like Frank said, we know who we're doing it for, and that's what keeps us going, and God has He's blessed our family. It's not an easy life, but it's a very blessed life.
People always say, how do you know the Bible is true? And I think the best answer is, I've got one, and it works, and it transforms lives. I've seen just people come into our church totally worldly, totally don't have a clue about God. Their life is an absolute mess, and now their life is transformed.
I just think what encourages us the most is seeing people getting saved and growing and serving and just living for Christ. And as hard as it can be to do ministry, when you see people do that, there's nothing like it. That just brings such a great joy. I think freedom, the people, they're our family, and we have such loving, caring people at Freedom.
I just want to tell the people of Freedom just how much my heart, cares for them. And when you pastor people, you get attached to them. You literally you love them, you care about them, and so I just want the people to know how special they are to me,
Thank you for being a part of our Freedom family, and thank you for just being loving, caring people, for loving Christ, and thank you for supporting my husband and our family.
God's word is never in vain. I feel the same as I did from the first day. Just if we do God's will today, we worry about today, as Jesus said, and do God's will today, our future will fall into the place where it needs to be. You know, we just want to keep loving people, reaching people, and, you know, as far as I'm concerned, how many? One more.